The knowledge about keeping these animals are much better. But even there, we have just as we watched these incidences happening too. Yeah.
Dr. Pampavati, you said you've been in New Zealand for many years together. So how different?
Sorry, yeah, Australia.
Australia. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. So how are things there when compared to the kind of treatment we give to animals here? When we're talking about the zoos there, the zoos here, the circuses there, circuses here. Is there a different way you look at things from there to here?
Yeah, definitely. One is space. The way they kept in very spacious, very clean, and also the people who look after them. They are well-read people. They are called marine biologists and with a university degree and all. It's definitely
again coming down to the point he was trying to make. There is a huge divide. I mean, the mahots, like you were saying, are not trained enough. Is that the point you're trying to make?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And apart from that, is there anything else you see different from the way things are there and here?
So I would say like lack of understanding in depth.
Okay.
That is the main difference here and there. That's what I would put it.
Okay. Dr. Vijay, can things get better at all? Like he was saying, there are biologists there who are dedicated to these animals. They have a degree, they're educated. But here, I mean, most of us, even I'm sure, even at the Bannerghatta National Park, most of the attendants there at the zoo are not really educated at the subject, isn't it?
See, the bottom line is it is difficult to make a career in the field of wildlife or like zookeeping and so on. Firstly, the zoos are owned by the government, so there is a fixed scale of salary and rules and regulations and even the basic requirements to be a zookeeper is something that has been set for over a long period of time. So you and I wouldn't really want to become a zookeeper because it's a totally underpaid job. So I'm sure that if we kind of put that job in as a respectable job in terms of money and social status, I'm sure a lot of educated people and even veterinarians would want to be zookeepers. So that's a first point. Okay. And secondly, the awareness about these kind of things is still very rudimentary in our country. Okay. Thanks to media, a lot of information is now being disseminated across the country. But still, we have a very long way to go when it comes to keeping our animals happy, both in the wild and in captivity.
That's right. When you look at zoos and other facilities for animals here, when people are employed, what do they look for? Do we look for a degree today here in India?
I don't think so. I don't think so because our jobs are it is divided basically like class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. So that what decides for you to be a class 4 employee or a class 3 employee. Your basic education qualification is this. So I think there needs to be a total revamp in the way that we kind of project these job itself to make it more attractive.
And what is the role of NGOs here? Do they have any role at all? Are they doing?
NGOs have, especially when it comes to wildlife management. The government is very cooperative and works alongside with NGOs, especially the State Forest Department, Karnataka Forest Department. I can vouch that we work very closely with the Forest Department on various issues, and so that is there. But our priorities are, the bottom line is our priorities are very different. In a poverty-driven country like India, keeping of animals and wildlife is obviously taking a backseat when it comes to addressing other issues like poverty and children's health and women's health and so on. So we have a very long way to go, but I think it's very important, and that way, in that sense, our zoos play a very important role because that's the only point of education for children about wild animals. So we should really make our zoos an interesting place, an informative place for visitors who can learn about these wonderful, beautiful wild animals.
So you believe that there needs to be a revamp of the entire system, the way things are done here.
Yes.
Right. It comes down to humanity, isn't it?
Sure.
At the end of the day.
Exactly. At the end of the day, yes. We need to treat animals fairly, and we need to respect them, love them, and give them their space that they rightfully deserve. So that will keep man and both man and animal happy.
So basic issues, small basic issues.
Exactly. Yes,
right. Doctor, I have an interesting question for you. Sure. You've obviously heard of the rise in the number of incidents of stray dogs biting people on streets. What do you read into that?
again, the starvation comes to a place, and also now, I mean, it's all even people troubling them, like, you know, I've seen children trying to torment these dogs, and it's just sometimes, you know.
So what do
very
you
sad.
do to them at the end of the day? I mean,
Yeah.
you're saying they're starving.
Yeah.
But we're the same people who give them food on the streets. You know, we give them the little leftover. That's what we all Indians do. We've been doing it for years together.
Sure.
But that's another reason why they're still there, and they're growing in numbers. So where do you see this end? And how do you think we can stop this dog and man conflict?
Okay, first thing is there should be animal birth control program. That's of course a lot of NGOs are doing it, and still it is working, but it's not very effective, I would say. A lot to be done. That's the neutering program is very, very important. And more than that, I always believe in there should be the involvement of the local community, working in coordination with the statutory bodies or the government agencies or even NGOs. That makes a lot of difference. Involve the local people.
Okay.
That works a lot.
Fair enough. Dr. Vijay, to sum it all up, I think where do we stand today? You know, we've seen incidents of man-animal conflict on the rise. So where do you see this end, and what needs to be done in a nutshell, if you had to put it?
In a nutshell, it is disturbing to see these videographs. But I think they're not very serious in sense these are sporadic incidences. So I don't see that we really need to panic. But we have to learn from these experiences.
It is a cause for concern.
Yeah, it's a cause for concern, so that these incidences don't happen. So we definitely need to ensure that animals in captivity, all of them cannot be just like that left back into the wild. So as long as they're in captivity, they should be looked after well by the properly trained people. So that requires a personal initiative by the owners of these wild animals in their custody, so that they really take a personal attention to making them, keeping them well, looking after them. And of course, government needs to be very, very strict to ensure that these animals in captivity are kept according to the legal provisions and are not violated, and strict action should be taken against them.
Fair enough. We've come to the end of our discussion. Thank you, Dr. Vijay, for joining us.
Pleasure's mine.
Thank you, Dr. Pampavati, for joining us. Well, it's very simple. It all comes down to humanity. Treat animals well is what we've concluded here. But there's another thing that's attached to it. If you mess with nature, nature will mess with you. We leave you on that thought. Thank you for watching.
Are you a graduate? Is your English flawless? Are you smart and dynamic? Wanna make it big on the small screen? If yes, you could be an anchor on your favorite channel, News 9. Walk in with your CV on 7th March, Sunday between 9 AM to 5 PM for a screen test. Our address is number 13/1, Reena Street, Richmond Town, Bengaluru 560025. For more details, call 99 807 88 999.